When I think about what my money story was before, it was consistently that I would get my paycheck, it would hit the bank, the account was already overdrawn, so my paycheck would be half gone when it hit the account. Pretty consistently, by the time the next check got ready to come, my account was negative. In reality, a negative bank account was my normal. And within 3 years, I was making $1 million and more per year. Stick with me. Let me tell you about it. Okay, so if you have been here for any amount of time, you may have already seen my story time where I talked about manifesting $15,000 in a weekend. That was really my beginning journey into using universal laws, into using the law of attraction, law of polarity, cause and effect, law of assumption. Really, it was my intro into the world of you can have whatever you want. I don't know, in my mind, I started here, you can have whatever you like. But it was the intro into that world for me. During this time, after all that, and I'll actually link it somewhere when I post this, or maybe down in the description. I ended up moving back home. But I had learned so much about so many things that I knew was going to push me forward. I just knew I needed to be at home in my stable environment in order to put it to place. So today I want to tell you all the things I did to make my first million using the universal law of attraction and a few of the other universal laws as well. So, number one, I do have my handy dandy notes here. Number one, my spiritual mother at the time knew all the things that I was going through. And money at the time seemed to be the thing out the blue I was really, really struggling with. And she told me there were two books that I needed to read. Number one was The Four Agreements, and number two was The Game of Law and The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. Now, I've read The Four Agreements a few times. It's cool, it's fine, it's dandy, and I do think it's helpful. But The Game of Life and How to Play It, that was it for me. The first time I heard it, and I got it on Audible, and I'm going to tell you why I got it on Audible. I was so broke that I couldn't even go to the bookstore and buy a book. I was that broke. And at the time, I just Googled a trial to Audible. I found someone's blog, and on their blog, they were offering two free books. They were an affiliate. They were offering two free books if you started an Audible subscription. So those are the two books that I got on Audible. Since then, I've collected hundreds of books. I'm still on Audible. Isn't it amazing how things work? So I got those two books. The very first time I heard The Game of Life and How to Play It, something in it just resonated as truth for me. I had done enough work and enough research on my own that I knew I needed to reprogram. And this was years before I went back to school for my PhD and I became a neurophysicist and became an expert in this subject. But I just knew something about it told me that I needed to hear it over and over and over. I needed to get it deep within my spirit, deep within my soul. I needed to get it like I could recite the words. And that's what I did. I literally would put my earbuds on, and at the time, literally headphones, and I would literally put them on and play it over and over all day. In the car, taking my kid to school, I had The Game of Life and How to Play It on. And picking him up, had it on. During the day, if I wasn't talking to any clients or doing any work where I'm talking to people, had it on. I would literally be walking through my home with these headphones on. And my mom, I know it was very irritating to her. She thought I was being rude because I didn't want to be bothered. But I knew that it was something about that that rang true. And I couldn't stop listening until it became second nature to me. And so in a course of about 3 months, I'm sure I listened to it hundreds of times till it got deep within my spirit. So I always suggest to people when they need a real change in their life and they're new to the world of manifestation, The Game of Life and How to Play It, especially if you have a background in anything where God is normal for you, God is the word for you. The Game of Life and How to Play It is it. Number two, my angel. And again, I spoke about that when we first started. I did a story time here where I talked about manifesting $15,000 in a weekend and how this woman, Victoria, came into my life. And I truly believe that she was my angel. She literally came to support me in this way. She ended up blessing me with $15,000. Well, one of the things that she taught me was really how to deeply visualize, not just see a thing for myself, but to go deep in the visioning process. So I took that, and in addition to listening to The Game of Life and How to Play It, as I'm listening when I'm falling asleep, I am visualizing. I used deep visualization techniques every single night. Every morning when I woke up, I was going to see a picture. I was going to see what I wanted. I was going to see one of the things, the vision, and I'll tell you what the main vision was at that time. And maybe it should have been to make $1 million, but it wasn't. The dream was that I was living in Europe. I had a home in Europe, and I saw myself getting off the airplane with my son, carrying our shopping bags because I was in Europe shopping. That was the vision. And I would hold that vision. I knew that if I had a home in Europe, I knew that if I was traveling like that and shopping, I knew that money wasn't a concern for me. So I wasn't even holding a space for a certain amount of money. I just was holding a space for a certain life. That's what I was holding my space for. So I would visualize that every single night and every single morning. Number three. Whew. And this one is a hard one for most people. I cut off everything and everyone that didn't align. People that I talked to every single day who was not people of like mind, who was not focused on really growing themselves in the same way. I just quit talking to them, not necessarily stop being friends, but I needed to focus on me. I had a little baby at the time. My son was 3, 4, he's 16 now. I had a kid at the time. I needed to get my life together. And I did not have time to be on the phone talking about being broke or talking about, I wish I had more clients. I did have some clients at the time, but nowhere near enough to really live a thriving life consistently, right? I would get these income fluctuations. I'll get a drop of a couple $1,000 and then no more money. And it would just keep cycling like that. I'll do retreats and make a couple thousand. And then next thing you know, I don't have any clients for 2-3 months. So this was like a real problem. So I literally cut out everything. Again, in my house, I was there with my mom. And, even as much as we love our family, if you didn't come from a background of not like working hard family, but a wealthy background, you likely picked up some sort of negative money beliefs. And where does it come from? It comes from your parents, your civic leaders, the people around you. So I knew even though I was at home, I needed to tune out everything that just wasn't aligned. I didn't want to hear anything about I needed to give you money. And I needed to literally make my world a world of The Game of Life and How to Play It. That was my world. And I didn't have any more money for any more books. As a matter of fact, after that, I had to cancel the membership for a couple of months until the money got rolling in, and it did get rolling in. Next, I spent my days working my business plan, and only after I worked the things that I had planned out, the things that Source gave to me, the things that came to me that I needed to do within my business. I would work my business every day. I would run webinars and then I would teach. So my mastery at the time, I've been working in corporate America in marketing. I was really good with marketing other people's businesses and telling them what was missing in their businesses so that they could go out and make the money they desire. So at the time I would do these webinars, and we're talking 2011. I would teach these webinars, and then at the end of the webinar, I would offer my service. So I would do exactly what it was I was supposed to do every single day, whether someone signed up or not. Every single day I was showing up. I was showing up in different groups and really giving back to other people and sharing my expertise and literally helping people grow their business for free until I was able to get enough testimonials to start charging. And I did so. When I wasn't doing that, I was watching documentaries around wealth, people who are wealthy. I'm trying to think of one. What is the man who made America? Yeah, I think it's The Man Who Made America, which is about like the founding Business Tycoons of the United States. I watched that a dozen times. It used to be this channel on YouTube, which is not anymore, but it used to be, I think it was mycomeup.com. And it was like this group. It was almost like a social networking thing, and you could join, and people were like posting different inspirational videos and audios from people who were millionaires and billionaires, people who were tycoons of their own rights, owning publishing houses. Like literally, I hypnotized myself. I reprogrammed myself by literally making everything around me about the very thing that I was trying to attract. Successful business, lots of money, lots of freedom, lots of travel. So if I wasn't working my business plan, I was watching documentaries and watching YouTube with my son sitting right there with me, with my son literally right there as I was going through the process. That's how I spent day in and day out. Next, every opportunity that started coming to me that aligned with what I wanted, I said yes with no excuses. Even if it was a free opportunity, even if it seemed to be free, even if it didn't pay what I wanted it to pay, I said yes to every opportunity, because what I learned from the situation with Victoria that I manifested the 15K in the weekend is that very often the way that our breakthrough and our miracles happen, it's through those little things that it's unexpected. You might go somewhere, you might volunteer to do something, you might say yes to a free opportunity. That's where the miracles tend to lie. Now, by this point, I got to the point that my business has started making money. At this point, I'm making roughly between 4K and 8K every single month. So I'm doing pretty well, closer to 8K. So we're at six figures within 3 months of this work, of where I am. Within 3 months, this is where I am. And this was me going from broke, left my apartment in Dallas, moved back to Birmingham to my mother's house, literally sleeping on the floor while my baby was in a toddler bed. 3 months, I was able to turn that around. 3 months when to pay cash for me a new bed and a new mattress. And when I say turned it around, I turned it around, doing those things every single day. But we are going to keep going, because how did I get from between 4 and 8 and then consistently 8? Then I ended up within another 2-3 months scale to about 30 to 40 a month. And after that, we were in the $1 million, anywhere between 80 and 100,000 a month. How did that happen? Well, I kept doing the very thing that I was doing from the beginning. I did not stop. I did not stop listening to the Game of Life and how to play it. I kept going every day, because I have this mentality of why fix what's not broken. We always want to be like, oh, I want to do something new. Oh, I'm bored. I'm bored of this. Here's the reality is consistency will get boring. It will, because it's the same thing day in and day out. But that same thing day in and day out, consistency over time, is what create the results that you want in your life. The consistency over time is what reprograms your subconscious. I know this now as a neurometaphysicist. I didn't know that at the time. I just had this innate feeling and feeling drawn to doing that. So I kept it up. I kept listening to the book every single day, all day. I kept on doing my visualizations. I kept on following the business plan. I kept on only seeing myself as successful. I kept on saying yes to opportunities. Even when I started making money, I was still saying yes to these opportunities that other people were like, oh, I wouldn't coach and work with anybody for free. Well, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And the reason I'm going to do it is because this is the period I'm in. I'm not where I want to be yet. I'm going to show up and I'm going to do this and do it as a case study and use it in a webinar. Literally, I am going to do it because that's what I feel drawn to. And I know the more you do the work, the more you show up and do the work, the more you see yourself in the place, the more you see yourself having the things you want, it's going to come. But it won't come just from the visualization. The action comes. I know what people say. I know they're like, you don't have to do anything, but I can tell you, you do something. It's no way you're not just laying in the bed. What you don't do is you don't force it. You don't force it, but you take inspired action. If the inspired action is to go to the store, to take up the free opportunity, whatever, you take inspired action. That's how you do it. Inspired action may be to go buy the lottery ticket. You have to do something. So from that space, I started offering one-on-one coaching at that point. And at first it was old little home study programs. And then I moved to one-on-one coaching. I raised my price. I really felt led. I'm in a space now where it's enough people that I should be able to charge more. So I raised my prices. And at that point, I started charging $5,000 for a one-on-one intensive with me. And somebody signed up the first day. And I knew I was on to something. That was my one-on-one. And then I slowly started scaling it to doing groups. And this was my $1 million year. So from sleeping on the floor at my mom's house, within 3 years, by that third year, I had scaled to people paying $8,000 to work with me for 8 weeks in a group. I would take 10 people. And then at the end of the 8 weeks, those 10 people would then move on to a 50K program with me. Within 3 years, that's where I moved. By the end of the third year, I was at $1.1 billion. And the entire 3 years, I kept the visualizations going. I, of course, grew from the game of life and how to play it. I still listen to it to this day, but then I added stuff like the science of getting rich. I stick to the oldies, guys. They work, they work, they work. Okay. But I began to really see myself. I started doing dream boards. I don't have it on my list, but from the very beginning, I was doing these dream boards because they would help me see the vision. They would help me do this. And for those who don't know, if you remember, I told you that in my visualization, the thing that I would see was me with a place in Europe and me going shopping and my son and I. And for those who do not know, 2 years ago, I bought 2 houses in Italy. Yes. So I now have 2 properties in Italy. I am back and forth with my son. I'm shopping in Europe all the time, enjoying life, living la vita dolce, and enjoying life, just like I saw in my vision. And I want you to know that this is how I have continued to grow and scale. People ask me since then, for those who don't know, since then, I've gone on and I've started other businesses, and every business I start hit 6 figures within a couple months and then hit $1 million. Every single business. People wonder how I started LaRue 1680 in 2020. We started in October. By December, Vogue was reaching out to me for a statement. By February of the next year, we had been on the Today Show, Good Morning America, Drew Barrymore. We were everywhere. How is that? Because I literally use the law of attraction for every last one of it. I see myself in these magazines. I see myself having these conversations. I see myself at these luncheons. I see myself winning these awards. I see myself every single time. This is how you do it. We keep looking for something magical and special, but the magic is within us. The magic is here. The magic is seeing ourselves in it. The magic is reprogramming. The magic is literally drowning out every voice of doubt, whether it's an external voice or internal voice, and literally only hearing the voice of how powerful you are, that God lives in you as you, that you are what you want to be, that you have $1 million business, that you have succeeded, that you have the love. That is how you do it. And by shutting out all of the voices and only taking in that, it may take a minute, but it will happen. Like I said, in 3 months, I was able to completely shift and go from 0 to 6 figures in 3 months. Then I went like 6 figures, like 8,000 a month. But then within 3 more months, I'm at 30 to 40,000 a month consistently. This is how this works. And yes, so I wanted to take a time to explain to you literally those steps that I took to hit my first million. I hit my first million again within 3 years and 6 figures within 3 months. And it's literally using these steps and using the universal law of attraction. I really, really hope this was helpful for you. I have continued on to, like I said, build so much success and help others do the same using the exact same principles. You can use them, take them, run with them. If you are in Atlanta in October, if you want to come, I am having a live event called Ready for More. If you are in a space where you are ready for more in your life, more money, more love, more joy, more peace, more, I am going to show you how using all of the universal laws, especially now that since I've gone back to school for my master's and PhD, I have this knowledge to really help you transform from both a science and a spiritual level. We bridge the gap there. So I have the real life examples on the spiritual side and then the science side as a doctor. I look forward to seeing you there. Look somewhere around the video for the link for tickets, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.